January 2019 A cotton seed took root on the moon. Green leaves grow. This is the first time humans have grown plants on the moon. This amazing experiment took place inside a closed container on the Chinese lunar probe Chang'e. When we look up at the moon, maybe not realize, above the moon, there's a lot of deep space exploration going on that you wouldn't expect. Chang, the common name of China's lunar probe. In a fairy tale familiar to all Chinese, the fairy Chang flew to the moon, and they lived there. In the eyes of the ancients, the moon is an inaccessible place, so this story is both romantic and daring. Today's Chinese lunar exploration program is gradually turning ancient myths into reality. Chang is undoubtedly the most appropriate name for these probes. This time, compared to his predecessors, Chang flew 4 小时 as an even bolder goal to land on the far side of the moon. The moon has a front and a back. There are middle latitudes and high latitudes. We do research on lunar exploration. Of course, the hope is to reach as many places as possible on the moon. In fact, go to the far side of the moon to explore. It is a dream of scientists and astronauts from all over the world. All want to go because there must be more new discoveries on the back. In 1959, the Soviet Union's Lunar Odyssey became the first man-made probe to approach the moon. The human journey to the moon has begun. In the same year, the Soviet Union's Lunar Sun probe flew to the back of the moon for the first time and took a photo of the back of the moon. These are the images. Make people aware of. The front and back of the moon have 2 faces. Beneath these 2 faces, it's a huge difference in the meaning of science. Exploring the back of the moon is indispensable, but before Chang'e, all 20 lunar landers sent by humans have landed on the front of the moon. Why not go to the back of the moon? To answer this question, we must first understand the relationship between the moon and the Earth. It's a hammer throw. When the player starts spinning the hammer throw, you can think of athletes as the planet. The chain is an attractive force, and the hammer at the other end is the moon. As long as this rotation doesn't stop, the hammer throw has only one side facing the player. The relationship between the Earth and the moon is the same. When this hammer ball becomes a huge moon with a diameter of 3,500 kilometers, any infinite signal from Earth cannot penetrate this sphere. Directly to the far side of the moon, a huge barrier for humans to land on the back of the moon was created. No signal. A probe or rover on the far side of the moon cannot receive instructions. It's hard to move an inch. Even if the login is successful, can't send back data and images. We want to be the first spacecraft to land on the moon's back. The Changfusi mission must first solve this difficult problem to establish communication between the Earth and the lunar back. To reach the far side of the moon where communication signals cannot reach, Chinese scientists need more than just technology. It takes some imagination. About the moon, Chinese people are never short of imagination. Chinese poet Li Bai wrote this verse more than 1,000 years ago. Raise a glass to the bright moon. 3 people in a pair of shadows. The lonely poet invites the moon to drink with him. His own shadow in the moonlight was imagined by him as a third friend. Toast together, light and shadow and projection, romance for poets. What brings scientists inspiration? More than 1,000 years later, Chinese scientists have also found a third friend between the Earth and the moon's back. 6 months before the launch of Chang'e, China's lunar exploration project has launched a communications relay satellite, Queqiu. 5:28 this morning, China launched a satellite in Zishan. The center successfully launched the relay satellite of the Chang'e mission Queqiu with a Long March 4 sea carrier rocket. This is the world's first communications satellite operating at Lagrange LR. There have been some international fantasies about going to the far side of the moon before. About in the 60s and 70s to the last century, okay? 1960s and 1970s. In fact, I think the main reason is that the relay communication technology is not available. In fact, the real whole spaceflight is relay communication technology, probably only available in the 1990s. However, having the technology of relay communication is only one condition for establishing lunar back communication. What kind of track can be selected for better relay communication? It is also a problem that the Chang'e team must solve. What orbit do we want to choose for the ultimate star? It can see the far side of the moon. We need to be able to see the Earth. To achieve the ultimate in such communication, could be an orbit around the moon. It can also be to this land person at 4 o'clock. Now we choose this LR point. This point is about an average of 6,000 kilometers from the moon. The advantage of a lunar orbit is that it is close to the moon, 100 到200 kilometers. But the downside is that it can't always face the back of the moon. From the transmission of wireless signals, its relay real-time is not ideal. Lagrange point, also known as translation point, in every system composed of 2 major celestial bodies. It turns out there are 5 Lagrangian points. There are also such points between Earth and Vietnam, more than 41 kilometers from the Earth, about 6,000 kilometers from the moon, near the Lagrange LR point. Relative balance of attractive forces between the Earth and the moon. Relay satellites can be maintained using very little fuel, so we also argued many times at the time. How about this comparison? Now the one we choose, LR point, we designed a run around it. It's called a transport track. On such a track, it can ensure stable operation. It just keeps looking at the far side of the moon. It can be seen at the same time as the Earth. So what about this? It can achieve full real-time, just non-stop. The entire central week is kilometers from the moon. Successfully entered a scheduled orbit at the end of landing process. Communication was established with the ground via the Queqiu. Humans step on the back of the moon. 1 more perfect landing process is